Unspoken Issues.
Next up, we're at number 3 on the list. Youngblood, number 1. So you had this at number 3. I had it at number 4.
I didn't really go much over the reasoning why they wanted to leave Marvel. Liefeld's thing that he kind of has pointed to is he did New Mutants, launched, introduced Cable, Deadpool, launched X-Force, huge hit. Like as soon as X-Force came out, basically he found out, they're doing a toy line of X-Force characters, which he thought that was awesome, and he's getting royalties. He made $1 million, I think, off of X-Force #1 on royalties. So he was making really good money. But his thing was, if I'm doing my own stuff, I get to keep all the money.
Right.
And, if Marvel's making all this money off of toys of my creations, these characters are making an impact. If I'm doing this on my own, I'm going to be benefiting even more. So that was kind of, I think, the genesis of his desire to start looking into doing his own thing. And then he was going to do Executioners, stepped on some toes with that. So then went with Youngblood instead, I guess. So April 92, Youngblood #1, the first Image comic. I assume you're like me and you think of the Home Team cover as the main cover to this book.
Right. That's
because it's a flip book. There's 2 stories. There's 2 covers. So the Home Team with Shaft and Bedrock and Die Hard, Chapel, the most popular or famous, whatever, Youngblood characters are on that. That seems to be the main cover most people think of.
Right. Yeah, that's the one I remember seeing. That's the one I was like, oh man, I've got to get my hands on that at some point. I don't think I ever saw it until, I want to say I got this at an auction. Yeah, I did. Actually, it was last year. I might have shared the video where I was going through a bunch of comics, and I think Youngblood #1 was, I think it was in that collection. Plus, I had a Liefeld signed Judgment. It was an issue of Judgment Day, and I think Liefeld signed it.
Nice.
So now, as to whether it's a legit,
it doesn't really increase the value, so there's no reason for people to be forging signatures.
Right, exactly. So I thought this was this was one of those issues where I was like, I got to get my hands on it. This is it. This is the launch title. This is the thing. This is Rob Liefeld bringing you Youngblood. So I was pumped and I was excited. Let's start with the Home Team. Just like you said, this is a flip book. So let's talk about the Home Team story first. So I'm going to run down the characters. You give your level best. Do a quick description of them.
Okay.
So created by Rob Liefeld, plot, pencils, and inks by Rob Liefeld, dialogue by Hank Canals, color design by Brian Murray, color separations by Digital Chameleon. So the Youngblood Home Team. Tell us about Bedrock.
Bedrock is my probably second favorite comic book character. Behind Darkhawk, or maybe third behind Prime. They're all right there in the top 3. But Bedrock is a 13-year-old boy whose father was a scientist and experimented on him. Or maybe, I think what happened was his dad had some kind of chemical formula and the boy took it, drank it, and it turned him into Bedrock. Oh, so he's basically a giant stone man, kind of like, a lot of people want to compare him with, he's like a cross between the Hulk and the Thing, I guess, except instead of orange rock, he's more like a smooth concrete style stone guy.
I got that, yeah. Okay. How about Combat?
Combat is an alien warrior. I believe his home planet is Catalia. Photon is a member of the Away Team, and I believe they are from warring races from that planet. Not sure. I think they were stranded on Earth together somehow, but I don't know the details.
Okay. All right. How about Chapel?
Chapel is a mercenary soldier who killed Al Simmons and then got a cushy job with Youngblood somehow.
Vogue?
Vogue is a Russian defector from the, maybe from the KGB. She's like a gymnast, but no superpowers, I don't think, just kind of a
Black
super
Widow
athlete type. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Die Hard.
Die Hard is a cyborg, and I don't know that it's revealed until maybe the Youngblood Strike Pile miniseries that he is like a World War II era superhero who is still around thanks to the government basically turn him into a cyborg to keep him alive, I guess.
All right. And then we have Shaft.
Shaft is an archer, former FBI dude who is now leading Youngblood, just kind of new on the job at this point, I think. And he has a bow and arrow, but no string on the bow. It is like some kind of anti-grav thing on his super high tech bow that he uses.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. At first, I was like, maybe there's a stylistic choice of not drawing the string because the string's so hard to see. But all right,
I believe it's explained in maybe on a trading card or maybe Liefeld has just mentioned it in interviews or something. I'm not sure where that is noted, but I've heard that before. That it's like it's a quirk of the technology. It's not that there's no string. It doesn't need a string.
All right. Okay. Well, here's our story. Shaft is shopping when he stops a young thief in a Washington, D.C. mall. However, it was just a ruse to distract him. But even though he has no arrows, he is able to throw an ink pen with such precision that he takes a would-be assassin out. So, yeah, I think this assassin puts up this kid to basically steal a purse, I think. Shaft finds this ink pen, throws it at this guy who's way far away, nails him, takes the assassin out. Now, before getting grilled by the media, Shaft has to leave as he is getting called back to HQ. At the home of Thomas John McCall, a.k.a. Bedrock, he receives the same summons while eating breakfast at his mom's house. Die Hard is awakened, and Chapel also wakes from a fun night with a lovely lady, and they both are called as well. Vogue makes the team wait, but eventually responds. And she says she made him wait like 5 hours or something. And I'm like, now that's bull, because you're fired after hour one. There's no way. So, yeah, she finally responds. And when they arrive, they are notified that the villains known as the Four, which are Deadlock, Starbright, Strong Arm, and Gage, are making an attempt to escape. I think 2 of them are captured, and the other 2 are trying to rescue them somehow out of this armored car. Arriving at the scene, Die Hard immediately engages with Strong Arm, and we finish the issue with the rest of the team preparing for battle. Am I missing anything?
I think you got it.
That's it. I mean, this is a flip book, so when you're talking 32 pages, so that's 16 pages a piece, you're not going to get a whole lot of story out there, or at least you're going to leave enough to where you're going to want them to come back for more next issue.
Yeah.
So that is the home team's story.
I don't know what Bedrock's eating there, but it's
It doesn't look good.
It's some kind of like green slime is what it is.
Yeah, and he's not eating it well.
He's eating it like a bowl of cereal, but it's like all coming out of his mouth, like he's drooling and stuff.
That's not good. It's so nasty. Chapel's got a great look. I love Chapel's look with the whole skull painted on his face. Love that.
This issue this part more than the away team part, I think it's laying the groundwork for the fact that these are like celebrity superheroes, like, which was a theme that's been explored more since then, but wasn't completely new. It was a kind of a novelty at this point. So like, Shaft gets attacked, he was set up or whatever, but like there's a commotion. So suddenly there's all this media around him. And it's like he's like, how'd you guys get here so fast?
Right.
And one of the reporters, like, I've been following you all day.
Yep.
So it's almost like paparazzi's following him around. Chapel is laying down this lady, who is seemingly is getting with him just because of his celebrity.
Right.
Because, he basically says Youngblood membership. He says in reference to her, Youngblood membership has its privileges. So
right, she knows.
Kind of laying the groundwork for that. These are like not just superheroes. They're like they're celebrities as well. So
right,
not a lot of action really, and kind of disappointing. Like as soon as they show up to deal with the Four, we get a couple of punches from Die Hard, and then we get a cool 2-page spread of the other guys showing up to get in on the action, and then that's it. That's time for the second story.
Right. Well, okay. So let's head over to the away team here. So we got Brahma. Do your best to describe Brahma.
Brahma is the away team's strong guy. I don't really know anything about Brahma. He's big. He's bigger even than Bedrock, I think. But yeah, just a big bruiser guy with like blonde hair. I
knew so less about the away team.
Yeah, the away team is not, Sentinel is probably the most popular.
Right.
He's the leader of the away team.
That's kind of saying something.
Yeah.
He's not popular at all.
Yeah, I mean, when you think Youngblood, I think most people normally think Shaft, Die Hard, Chapel, Bedrock. Those are the ones those are like the big name Youngblood characters. So yeah.
Yeah. Riptide. What's going on with Riptide?
Riptide is a female character who uses water. kind of like Iceman, but with water instead of ice.
Right.
She kind of floats around on it. She can even generate it in the desert, which she mentions in this issue that it's hard to do, but she can still do it in desert conditions as well.
Mm-hmm. Then we got Photon.
Photon, Alien, the other Catellan, as along with Combat that we mentioned earlier. Interestingly, Photon is on the cover here, but appears in the home team story.
Right.
And Combat is on the cover with the home team, but he appears in the away team story.
Yeah. That's
which, I mean, I guess that could be like, well, they're interchangeable. If somebody's needed, they'll go to the away team, whatever. So, but just kind of interesting that it worked out that way. But yeah, Photon has got a cool visual. He's, got a humanoid form, as far as body and everything and face. But then his head comes to like 2 points, almost like Wolverine's mask, but higher. And then he's got like green flame coming from the back of his head, or maybe from his head. I don't know. Is that just like where his brain is?
I don't know.
The green flame, like his mind? I don't know. It doesn't really. Don't think we ever really get an explanation for that, but
weird.
He looks cool.
Yeah, he does. Then we have Sci-Fire.
Sci-Fire, kind of just a dude in a black and green spandex suit, but. He's kind of floating around. We got like kind of a green aura around him and around his eyes as well, which kind of we'll talk more about, I guess, when he uses his powers in the book.
Okay. Then we have Sentinel. We just kind of talked about him. Looks like he's give me an idea who Sentinel is.
African-American leader of the team. He's got a power suit, kind of like, I kind of think he's kind of like an Iron Man type, and no helmet, but he's got like a power suit. He flies around, can shoot blasts and stuff from that.
Okay. And then last but not least, Cougar.
Cougar is kind of like a cat man. I think it's pretty much kind of like a werewolf, but a cat.
Right.
That's kind of how I think of Cougar. I believe he was initially going to be Timberwolf. I think maybe he was part of a pitch that Liefeld had for a Legion book, maybe, or something.
Oh, okay.
And he repurposed it as Cougar. I'm not 100% sure on that, but he's got like a costume that's kind of like a brown and white motif with like some with like cat stuff. He got like has a cat head belt buckle and cat eyes on his suit, like the straps of his suit.
We got some trouble brewing in Cairo, where Hassan Hussein, so that sounds familiar. Hassan Hussein has attacked. However, the U.S. has sent one of its most efficient fighting forces to deal with the matter. The Youngblood away team drops right in the middle of the action. Combat and Cougar sharing some dialogue at how they are excited for the challenge. Sci-Fire taking some jabs at Riptide. Now, during this time, they believe they found Hassan when all of a sudden they are taken by surprise by Hassan's synapse weapon, all except for Sci-Fire. Combat is built for combat, and is having a fist fight with a large mech. Sci-Fire explodes Hassan's head. So, oh boy. Now that happens off panel. That doesn't happen like straight in front of everybody, like right. In front of the reader, but it definitely happens.
Does happen to his bodyguards in panel. You may not know what's going on with it, but that when you know that's what's happening, that's what it looks like.
I see it. Yep. Yeah, it's the big mech bodyguards.
Yeah.
There, I see it. Yeah. So Sci-Fire explodes Hassan's head. The other team sees the result and are kind of squeamish, but the news reports the next day that Hussein committed suicide. Okay, the government's got to cover it up. So I think that's kind of where we ended.
Explain his suicide in the paper. Basically, it says Hussein apparently unpinned a grenade while holding it in his mouth.
Oh my gosh. Well, that would happen. That's what would happen to your head.
If you're going to kill yourself, I guess.
Yeah. And again, we got our celebrity that you were talking about here with like the US Today, not the USA Today, US Today. Some nods to some potential other Extreme properties. Battlestone with a still at large with Private Brigade. So, and we get a kind of a picture of Battlestone there with his signature skull, where his hair begins in the middle of his forehead.
Pops, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, that's it. That is the away team's adventure. They head over to Cairo, stop a political big baddie, and by killing him pretty gruesomely, and that's about it. We learn a little bit about some of these guys throughout this story, but that's kind of where we leave it.
The home team is where like most of my favorite characters are, I think, as with most people, but the away team is where all the action is in this issue, because it's basically, page 2, the action starts and it doesn't stop till the end. They're fighting soldiers, and then they're fighting guys in mech suits. And then there's tanks. Like they're just kind of, it's like a video game. They're leveling up and up and up till they get closer and closer to the compound. And then there's like a booby trap that kind of takes some of them out before Sci-Fire takes over. But yeah, a lot of cool action in this storyline, this part of the story.
I mean, yeah, it's dynamic. Liefeld can do some action. That is his bread and butter. When he's got some fights going on, or people getting ready for fights, people looking menacing to get ready to go out to fight, it's on. He does a great job of just getting that intensity onto the page. I love it. I that's one of the reasons why I think I ranked this high, was because we are getting what I wanted from the Image show. This is what I wanted from the Image show. I wanted some action. I wanted some blood. I think this might be one of the bloodier books. It's a really simple story. Maybe the most we learn about a character is probably, I don't know, there's
combat, that he's an alien, that kind of gets addressed.
Right. Cougar's kind of got his moment to act catty, and Riptide is doing her thing, and Sci-Fire's kind of a jerk a little bit, and everybody else on the home team, we get to see them as well. We kind of learn a little bit about them. And this is your typical first issue introduction piece, but like I said, it's Liefeld at the helm, and it looks fantastic in my opinion. I didn't see a problem with any feet anywhere. The feet look just fine in my opinion. I have no problems with it. But
I really like the effect of Sci-Fire's, the glow around his eyes. I've always thought that was really cool, like a really striking image.
He's kind of got this orange aura going on, and then those green eyes. Like you said, it looks pretty sick.
He's almost like seems like a Jean Grey with no moral compass. Like if she was like, well, I'll just kill this guy.
And that's funny because that is very similar to what I've seen Liefeld do with like Supreme as Superman, with the same situation. Or his moral compass is definitely not aligned to what Superman says. That's for sure. That's the extreme part of Liefeld, in my opinion. That's where the extreme part of things come in, man, because he just takes it to a whole other level with these people, or maybe subtracts a few things and makes it all that much more compelling.
In relation to how the series progresses, like we talked about earlier, the home team has got all the characters most people think of and associate with Youngblood. But it's kind of surprising in a way, because this issue, most of the action is with the away team. Right. And then issue 2, the focus is completely on the away team. That's the first appearance of Prophet, and the away team is with the group that discovers, Prophet and unleashes him out of his suspended animation or whatever. And we don't see the home team again until issue 3, I think. So it's kind of surprising that there's so much of the away team in the first couple issues, but yet they're not they weren't the characters that really which part of it might be, the ones that really get the focus are the ones that Liefeld cares most about, and maybe he gravitated more towards those home team characters or whatever. But I just thought it was kind of interesting that the first 2 issues are mostly about the away team, and then they're the least popular characters. Also, like, just the matter-of-fact way that Sci-Fire, after he kills Hussein or whatever, like, the other characters are all showing up and seeing his handiwork, and he's just kind of like completely emotionless.
Right. He's just perfectly fine with it.
They reference him in issue 2, I think. He basically gets punished for this, where they have like these dampeners on him where he can't use his powers, so he's not really any help. And I think the only time you really see him, even though he's clearly the most powerful character, I think the only time you really see him after this, in the stuff the material that I've actually read, is the Youngblood hardcover that they released about 15 years later, where Liefeld went back and redrew the 5th issue, which he initially did not draw himself, and he redrew the last like 10 or 12 pages of that, and they changed the story around some, and Sci-Fire played a part in that. But
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, basically from the original miniseries, this was the only thing Sci-Fi ever did. And then he kind of disappeared, basically. But
Wow. Well, pick a panel, man. Let's see what you got here. You got Liefeld, a Youngblood number one.
I'll let you pick. I'll let you pick first, and then I'll pick a panel from the other story, so we can get one from each.
All right. Well, then I'll go with the home team here. There's not a whole. Why did I do this? Why did I do this to myself? There's not. There's not a whole lot of action. I'm not okay. I will criticize. I don't understand the physics of Die Hard's. Like, I don't know if he's jumping and then arching his back backwards and punching this guy with both fists.
Yeah, that is an awkward pose, isn't it?
I cannot figure that physics out. I don't know what's going on there, but I will go with
a lot of strain on the groin there. It looks like
there's a hernia involved doing this stretch right here. Whatever he's doing, I want to go with the very next panel though, where he is that last page. I think he's nailing strong arm and strong arms flying. I like that. We didn't really talk about this with Spawn, but it was very evident in Spawn. Like, panels can go to hell sometimes. Like, as in, like, there's no panel here. This is just like, this is some of the craziest, sometimes nonsensical way of getting art across on the page. Now, that's not this, because there's two panels here. It's just that both of these characters are breaking the panel, which looks awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it makes it seem that much more alive. Almost makes it seem kind of 3D a little bit. Like, it's busting off of this page. Strong arm is coming, you know, out of the panel because Die Hard hit him so hard. So there you go. There's my panel.
More 3D to come. There's a teaser.
Yeah.
My panel from the away team, I'm gonna have to go with Sci-Fi exploding Hussein's
man.
Really, he's kind of floating there with all the energy around him, and you just see part of Hussein's body and the blood just splattering everywhere.
That next page, like with him, where he's just kind of, you know, his eyes he's killed Hussein, and there's a bunch of like streaks all over his face. They're black, but you know that that's blood.
Right.
The blood splattered onto his face. That's sick. That's good looking stuff, man.
There's like the computer coloring, like in its early days here too, like where his eyes are colored green with that clearly that like computer coloring effect. And, which is kind of it's eerie looking. And the same thing with the panel right before Hussein's head explodes. He's got that kind of that weird like computer coloring in his eyes as well, so gives it kind of an otherworldly look, kind of cool looking. A little hype job on the cover. On one side, Rob Liefeld, Youngblood, the next generation of heroes, first exciting issue. And on the other, the flip book for the away team, first explosive issue. So it's exciting and explosive.
Did I ever tell you about how my LCS would put the cover up for one side and the cover up on the other side? Or the other cover up.
You would think there were two?
I would think that there was two separate issues. Oh man! And I wonder if I wonder how many people actually bought two of those issues, thinking they were two separate issues of Youngblood.
I'm sure plenty. Yeah.
Yeah. Count me in on that.
Bastards.
Thanks for joining us. Unspoken Issues is part of the UnspokenDecade.com, the home for 90s comics, blogs, and podcasts. Unspoken Issues also has a Facebook group you can join if you are interested. Just search the Unspoken Issues podcast and request to join. All of this would not be possible without W2Mnet.com and the Rattleitch Broadcasting Network, so make sure to seek them out for more podcasts. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please feel free to share, and we look forward to entertaining you again soon.